But I want to welcome you all to the spring graduation ceremonies of Fortis College. This is again a true pleasure to graduate so many great kids, and I call them kids because I think I'm older than everyone. But we do this, and again, as Fred said, the graduates could not have done it without the family. And again, I applaud you personally to help and what you've done to help your loved ones get through this ceremony, get to school, and then now the ceremony. Also, we could not get these grads to where they're at without the staff and the instructors of Fortis College. And at this time, I would like to have all the staff and instructors please rise, and let's give them a round of applause. Okay, at this time I want to introduce Mr. Terry Ferris. He is our Dean of Education for Fortis College, and he will then introduce our keynote speaker. But I would like to ask you if you would please turn your cell phones off so that everyone can hear, and we'll move forward. So Mr. Ferris, come on up.
Welcome, everyone. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Dean Visk as our guest speaker. Some of his accomplishments include Cincinnati Magazine's Most Interesting People in Cincinnati for 2011. He's a former World Wrestling Entertainment performer, and currently he is nursing team leader and manager at Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health Services. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Dean Visk.
Wow. This is definitely an honor for me today to speak before you. Heating, air conditioning, ventilation, and refrigeration, associate degree nurses, practical nurses, medical assistants, medical builder and coders, medical office basic x-ray technicians, and associate degree paramedics. Fortis College, 2012. Class of 2012. Congratulations. A little bit about myself. My name is Dean Visk, and I got my start in nursing at the Washington Hospital School of Nursing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I moved on to earn my Bachelor of Science degree at California University of Pennsylvania, and I'm currently a student at Xavier University working on my master's in nursing. And I started nursing before I could legally walk into a bar and drink a beer. And I started on an adolescent unit at a small, privately owned psychiatric hospital in Pittsburgh called Southwood. And I eventually, during my tenure at Southwood, worked on each and every unit: the girls' residential, the boys' residential, inpatient child, inpatient adolescent, and eventually became a house supervisor there. And like many of you already, and like many of you who are going to embark on an amazing journey, my career took an interesting twist and had the opportunity to perform as a World Wrestling Entertainment performer in front of 40,000 plus people. But I have to say that speaking in front of you today is probably one of the most honored things that I've done in my career. And I really appreciate that opportunity. Because Fortis College, there's a special place in my heart for Fortis College. Not long ago, for a few years, I stood in front of the classroom as a Fortis College instructor. So I know how hard each and every one of you have worked in your respective fields. and you all need to be very, very proud of that. Currently, I am working as the nursing team leader at Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health, where I'm in charge of holistic healthcare nurses, integrated care nurses, ACT nurses, and psychiatric nurses. And I have to say that I am having a blast. But I've learned a few things along the way, and I'd like to share with you, and I'd like for each and every one of you to take with you an understanding of the amazing potential for greatness that each and every one of you have as Fortis College graduates. So today, I thought I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, and I'm going to tell a few stories, and maybe at the end of this, there will be definitely an understanding of how great each and every one of you are. The first story I'd like to tell is about a lumberjack who graduated from lumberjack school. And this lumberjack, at the end of his hard work in his school, he was given an axe. A really nice, sharp axe. So this lumberjack went and he took this axe with him, and he landed an amazing job. And on his first day of work, he took this axe and he chopped down 25 trees. And his boss said to him, "Wow, you did an amazing job, you're doing amazing work." And this lumberjack, he was so inspired by the kind words that his boss gave him that he went out the next day and he worked really hard, but this time he only cut down 20 trees. So then on the third day, this lumberjack worked extra hard and really wanted to impress his boss because he had this wonderful job. But this time, the lumberjack only cut down 10 trees. So the lumberjack went to his boss and he said, "I don't understand, I'm working really, really hard every single day, but every day I cut down less and less trees." And the lumberjack's boss looked at him and he said, "When was the last time you sharpened your axe?" The lumberjack said, "Sharpen my axe? Well, I've been so busy working so hard that I've not had time to sharpen my axe." And the moral of this story is we often think what we've already learned is enough, and we don't take time to sharpen our skills. So one of the things that I want you to take with you today when you leave and embark on your amazing journey of greatness is don't forget to sharpen your axe. Continue on and continue to hone your skills each and every day. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit of a personal story. Talk about my 70-year-old Marine Corps vet father. When I was growing up, my dad told me to never think or utter one of the worst four-letter words on this planet. And that four-letter word is can't. Because you see, my 70-year-old Marine Corps father is not afraid to die on a treadmill. I'll go home for the weekend. As a matter of fact, last weekend I went home and my dad, he wakes me up in the morning and he will do the whole and let me know that, hey, it's time to go downstairs and ride the treadmill, and we have these treadmills right next to each other. And we'll be walking on the treadmill and walking on the treadmill. And I'll say, "Dad, getting kind of hungry. You ready for breakfast?" "Yeah, I'm ready when you are." "Okay. Yeah, okay, well let's finish this up and let's go to breakfast." "Okay, let me know when you're ready." My dad will walk on that treadmill after I stop. He is not afraid to die on that treadmill, and he will never say can't. And in May of 2011, my mother had a stroke, and she was told that she would never walk again. And on that very somber journey home, that first day from the hospital with my dad looked at me and he said, your mom will walk again. And this Mother's Day, when I went home last weekend, I watched my father walk my mother down the steps. So can't has never been in his vocabulary. I try my hardest not to let that word come into mind. And the second thing that I want you to take with you today is you are now Fortis College graduates, and there's nothing that you can't do. Bear with me for a couple more minutes before we have these amazing graduates come up on the stage. I'm going to tell you one last story, one last tall tale. And this story is about a bunch of frogs. And these frogs, they had this jumping contest. And a crowd started to gather as these frogs tried to jump above this huge, high tower. As these frogs were jumping, trying to reach the top of the tower, all of this crowd came around this big audience, and they started screaming at the frogs. Ah, they're just frogs. There's no way those frogs are going to get to the top of that tower. And these frogs, they kept jumping, and they kept jumping. People kept jeering at the frogs, telling them, no way, there's no way those frogs are going to do it. And one by one, the frogs started to quit. They started to tire. The frogs kept continuing until finally there was one last lone frog who continued to try and jump. The crowd kept saying, it's way too difficult for a frog. There's no way that frog will ever do it. That frog has no chance to succeed. That tower is way too high for that frog. And the crowd yelled, and the crowd yelled, and eventually, that one lone frog that was left made it to the top of the tower after one big effort. And astounded, all the other frogs came running and asked that frog that finally made it to the top of the tower, how did you succeed? What was the story of your success? That one frog didn't answer. The frogs again asked, how did you do it? How did you get to the top of the tower? And then finally, that one lone frog that made it to the top of the tower took out his earplugs. That frog never heard anybody tell him that he could not do it. And don't let any of you listen to anybody tell you that you can't do it, because believe me, I know the type of work that you went through to get to where you are today. And this is not the end. This is just the beginning. So the moral of that frog story is, never listen to other people's tendencies to be negative. Always be positive. Confucius had a proverb, and it went along the lines of, the man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't, both are usually right. You are all Fortis College graduates. Believe in your own greatness and achieve it. Thank you so much for letting me speak before you here today. It's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
Mr. Visk, actually, this is just an appreciation for the College for the inspirational words you shared tonight. At this time, I would like to introduce our educational department chairs as they want to give out an individual award for outstanding graduates. The first individual I'd like to have come to the stage with me is Mr. Patrick Duschel, Department Chair for the HVAC program.
I find myself very honored to be in front of you right now. This is the first HVAC graduating class that this Fortis College Institute has actually been put out. Choosing this type of an award is very difficult, the first graduating class, because there are so many efforts that our students and our now graduates have put forward. I found myself just turning over the ideas in my head and how to actually award these. It was very difficult because each one of them have overcome extreme challenges. An extreme that they have actually set forth and looked at as an opportunity to actually excel. I'm very proud of each one of them, and I had to select only two. It was extremely difficult. The first one will be for Jacob Potts. Unfortunately, he is not with us today, so I will accept this award in his honor. The second one is Mr. Dwayne Williams.
At this time, I'd like to ask Tricia Harmon, the Dental Assisting Program, to please join me at the podium.
Hello. As many of you know, I was an instructor previously. I left in August, and I've just come back as the program director. So these awards were decided before I came back. It's been about 2.5 weeks, and I'm very excited and very proud to present these. Both of you are very deserving people, as well as everyone in the department, but I would like to have Dana Marie Hendrickson come up, and Carla Patterson.
Next, to give the Allied Health Excellence Award, Ms. Linda Porterfield.
I had such a hard time because everybody deserves. I know everybody struggled hard. Everybody had, you know, their trying times. So I had a really hard time deciding who I should pick. So I went straight to numbers. Whoever had the highest GPA along with the best attendance is who we decided to award. Like Mr. Duschel, Stacy Fisher is not here. I'd like to accept this in her award. She's medical billing and coding. And for medical assisting, Ashley Boone.
And at this time, for the Nursing Excellence Award, Ms. Darlene Sanderson.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here. Our new director was unable to make it, so I feel very honored to fill in at this point. Again, as previous speakers have said, this is a very difficult decision to make, but I feel very happy to announce the first award of excellence goes to Monica Ann Lindley. And the second award goes to Eric Joseph Ferris. I've seen these students quite a bit in my role as assistant director, but it's been a good thing.
At this time, upon the recommendation of the faculty and the approval of the Dean of Education, the following students have been recommended to receive the awarding of diplomas and degrees at Fortis College. Please hold your applause until each graduate has received their diplomas. Can I have the HVAC students please stand? Graduates, please. And again, I'd like to have Mr. Patrick Duschel join me to announce the names of his graduates.